Hi everyone, I am so excited to do this today. I am going to speak with someone who's representing everything I love, adore in life, and she has amazing stories to tell us. Please welcome warmly Erika Nann, American actress, artist, and lovely, lovely being representing so much goodness in this world. Hi Erika, how are you doing today?
Hi, Joanna. It's my pleasure. And this is Johnny.
Hi, Johnny. So we have movie stars today. We have Johnny, we have Erica, we have someone behind you also, Louis. And
that's Louis. And Buster's on the floor.
And also taking care of horses. So many animals around you. Can you tell us just straight from the beginning about lovely, lovely souls that are around you?
Yes. Okay. So Johnny was in the floods in Texas, and many animals died and drowned and were displaced. So he was rescued, and the woman that rescued him, her husband was dying of cancer, and apparently Johnny was ripping up his wallet, his credit cards, and pooping in the house and peeing, and obviously very traumatized, and they just couldn't keep him. So then I said, bring him on over. And he's definitely been the most difficult dog I've ever had, but also one of the most rewarding. He's so intelligent. You can't pull one over on him. I mean, if you're leaving and he sees you grab your keys, you try to be sneaky. He's watching everything. And I don't think people really realize how incredibly intuitive and intelligent these animals are. They know when you're sick, they know when you're sad. If I cry, Johnny gets very upset. And he's so sensitive that you cannot reprimand him. It destroys his soul. He's such a sensitive being. And, you know, it's just, he can't handle it. Some animals can take abuse and they come back and they wag their tails. Others, they will lose their will to live. Johnny would be one of those. If he was abused or neglected, he would definitely give up his will to live. He needs love. He needs attention. He needs to be told he's beautiful. And he's taught me so much that I never would have thought. You know, you always think that you're the adult, you're the one rescuing, and an animal can't teach you very much. But I have learned from turkeys. I've learned from rabbits. I mean, horses have been my greatest teachers because horses take a lot of skill. I mean, it's not just I've had to talk people out of, you know, as much as I love rescuing, but it's horses are not one of these things that you can just say, oh, I want to go rescue a horse. You really have to know, because it's a life commitment, almost like an elephant or something. I mean, you end up, your whole world goes around the horse, everything. And, you know, you have to learn about their sensitive stomachs and their change of climate and just their teeth, their upkeep. There's so much upkeep. So I definitely have like a soul connection with horses, because from the age of 3, I could ride. I wasn't afraid. It's as though I was born connected to the horse spiritually. So, and cats too. It's very interesting. Cats are, I have to have cats around me. And so many people, you know, so many people are like, oh, the old cat lady in a shoe, you know. But cats, there's something so incredibly deep about cats. They definitely see through the veils. No doubt about it. And when I, you know, in some countries, I think, God, which one is it? I don't want to say the wrong country, but there's countries where they're protected. If you kill a cat, you get like 4 years in prison. And I wish more than anything, when I say prayers, animals are always included in my prayers. I mean, all life is sentient, but animals, just to know that right now at this moment, there's millions and millions and millions of souls being tortured in factory farms, laboratories, zoos, horrible owners. There's more abuse on this planet with animals, I think, even more than children, because animals don't have a voice. And children that are being abused a lot of times turn around and take it out on an innocent animal. So animals seem to be the brunt of so much abuse. And of course, it's such a worldwide spectrum of abuse to the trees, the ocean, aquatic life, the insects, the bees, and then you've got the birds, the bats, it's like a genocide across the board. Now, I'd love in our conversation to cover the topics, of course, the painful topics that most people want to plug their ears and say, nah, 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 I don't hear it. But gently bring people into the reality that we are the ones that create heaven on earth. We are the ones. We are not being rescued. As much as people want to say, yes, I accepted so-and-so as my savior, or this is my guru, or this is my, I'm in this group and we're the special group that's ascending. That's the wrong attitude. I mean, because one, we're all connected. And if one man is being left behind, in a sense, we're all connected. So we're not complete. We should wish enlightenment and an awakening for all, because then it's finish what I'm saying. You know what I'm trying to say. It's complete.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of topics that I would love to start today with you. And for those who don't know you yet, on the Lucas channel, of course, this is how I met you, and warm greetings to Lucas and his team, of course. And we had this amazing conversation already, and this is how I got to know you a little bit better. And since then, we covered many, many topics. But for those on my channel who doesn't know you yet, they speak English, and some of the people, I hope they will find subtitles so you can hear this, because I think it's so important that we all find ourselves in those little groups that we can make it better, because it's up to us. It's really up to us. So for those who doesn't know you yet so well, how did it all started for you? Because of course you, like many of us, came to this earth with a certain mission. You probably didn't know even about it, but you learned, you discovered, and some people have not even chance to discover because they are so caught up in the matrix of everyday life and the fear that is going on that they never are able to. But you had those moments of profound enlightenment in your life that completely changed the course. You were in dangerous moments a lot of times in your life. But let's go to the beginning. How did it start for you?
Okay. Okay. When I was very, very young, first off, is my mother wanted to abort me. So I believe our blood was not harmonious. I think I'm probably like a strange AB negative or RH negative, whatever it is, it's not harmonious with her. I believe she's an O type. So she got very, very, very sick. My father and my sister and my mother were in a head-on collision, and my sister went into a coma, which she survived. But my mother got intensely ill being pregnant with me, and then went to the hospital and then told the doctors that if they didn't pull me out, she would rip me out herself. So they pulled me out with forceps, and I was very tiny, and I was jaundiced. I was so orange, they call me the little carrot, because I was just this tiny little orange baby. And I remember, I actually have memories of being in the incubator, which is so interesting to me. Yeah, I remember the glass and like people in white, like being around the glass bubble. And I remember being in there. It's just crazy. And from there on, I obviously survived, but I was always pegged as demonic, evil, dirty. Dirty was something I was called a lot. As a little girl, I remember like my mother would dress my sister and I alike. And of course, I was a tomboy, so I was always getting dirty in the dirt. I love trees. I love dirt. I was always picking leaves and stuff. And I must have been an herbalist in another life, because I would sit there for hours grinding with a rock and leaves on this little rock bench. But my mother, there was a moment that I just remember where there was family, friends, and my sister and I were standing side by side, and my mother said, "Oh, look at Erika. You can put $100 dress on her and she makes it look like a rag. And you could put a rag on her sister Ingrid and she makes it look like $100, you know." So it was like the reverse, and everybody was laughing really hard. And that was a moment where I felt fractured, because I knew what it was like to be like laughed at, not they're laughing with you, they're laughing at you, and for not the right reasons. And it was very humiliating. And I was probably, my guess is 3.5, which was the recollection of when my real severe abuse started with my mother. And it just was a very violent, she was schizophrenic and very extremely bipolar. So she was very dangerous, should have never had children. She was born in Spain, and my father met her there. My father was German. And I mean, getting into the whole family background would take much too long, but I will basically just say that the family was very divided, because that's how my mother controlled, was by dividing up the family, keeping us all very ununited. So there was just a lot of backstabbing. And if you were pegged as different, there was just no winning. It was as though all I can think of is the alpha and omega, and when you're born the omega, you believe it. You have no fight in you. You don't fight back. You don't raise your voice. You cower. You can get hit and punched and thrown into walls and whatever they want to do to you. You do not fight back. You have so much fear. You're like a dog that pees himself. And
You're paralyzed.
Yeah. And I was that kind of child. People think now, because I'm so outspoken, like, you can't have been that way. And I said, oh yeah, when company came over, I crawled and hid under the bed. I was very, very, very terrified of being naked for some reason. I didn't want to, it felt very exposed. And I remember even one time I was changing and my brother walked in my room, and I was maybe 6 or 7, and I scrambled under the bed, and he just kept laughing, like he had me cornered, but he was just looking at me laughing, and I'm naked. And that traumatized me. And what's really strange is, of course, as I got older, I started doing like topless movies, like showing my breasts and such. And of course, then that just gave my family all the ammunition to slander me again for other reasons. Is my mic too loud, by the way?
No, it's perfect.
Okay. So the early trauma somehow triggered other decisions in my life. Like, for instance, being called ugly made me then want to be a beautiful model. So then I thought, okay, I'll show them I'm going to be a beautiful model. And of course, I was laughed at for that. And when I started actually working as a model and working a lot and making, in the 80s, I started at 65 an hour. And within like 6 months, I was making 120 an hour, 114 or 120. It was over $100 an hour. And I was booked all the time. And then I started dating a very wealthy millionaire that pursued me. And I was still a virgin at 22. So even though I'd been molested, I still considered myself a virgin, because when someone molests you, it's, you know, that's not your choice. But
see, that's my city right now.
The definite, being molested.
Because
yeah, that's something going on in the world right now. A lot of molestation.
We have like a confirmation from the universe about certain topics that are very important now, and we should pay more attention. So
okay, so let's talk about that a little bit then. So the one thing that I cannot understand in this world right now is, because everyone was a child at one time. We all know what it is to be excited at Christmas, your birthday, to go to the park the first time, go to a zoo the first time, have your first ice cream sundae. Why would anyone want to take the innocence all away from that child in one blow with a sexual advancement towards a child. Like, how can, see, the thing is people have to know when a thought is not theirs, when it has been injected from some cosmic realm, because you know that can be done, that people that do black magic know how to put that in the field. And then people of a certain vibration will pick that up, and then they actually think it's their thought. So you have to know yourself so well to say, that's not my thought. I rebuke that thought. I reject it. I banish it. I rebuke it. That is not my thought. That's not a thought of love. So the thing is that how many people out there let those thoughts come in and seed, and then they start desiring and thinking about it until they manifest it. And the thing is that this has great effects in karma and the DNA, because now you have destroyed that child's future in so many ways. It's as though it's been short-circuited, because I know that's what happened to me. Whether it's physical abuse, sexual abuse, verbal abuse, emotional abuse, but I'll tell you what, the sexual abuse, it enters another level, because we know that Tantra and Kundalini is a very sacred energy, and that's why they use sex magic, you know.
Yes,
if it's
you
done,
can kill someone through that particular sex magic. Yes.
Yeah, and to misuse anything, it's like you need wisdom. See, they don't teach these things, that you really need wisdom before you have sex. It should never be done animalistically. It's a very sacred energy. It is life. It is creation. It is God at the most holy, holy space. So to pervert it is just distancing yourself from the most beautiful, beautiful love that we are created from. And I think that, like, I don't know, I can't speak for everyone, but I know that I entered a dark phase of animal sex. I thought that was what it was all about, you know, like, be sexy, wear lingerie, you know, and I'm not proud of some of the couple of the movies I did with sex scenes. You know, you're talked into it. They say, oh, you won't see anything, don't worry about it. And then it comes out and you're like, oh my God, you know.
Yes.
And that lives on the Akash, you know, that karma. I'm paying for it. For every young boy that masturbates to that or whatever, I'm paying for that, you know, and I know it, because I have been single and I haven't had true love in my life ever. So I figure that's probably my karma, and I accept it. You know, I mean, you don't have to accept it. I can say, well, I can create something else, but I have to learn the lessons of my actions. You know, if you're an alcoholic and you get in that car and you drive drunk, you have got to accept the consequences, whatever the outcome is. Some people want to live in denial of what they're creating. They want to be a victim, or they want to be angry, or they want to say, why me, why me, why me? And then they might, again, have survived child abuse or sexual abuse, and they bury it away, and they never, ever, ever bring it out to the light to heal it. And it's called shadow work, when you are willing to look at the things that are the darkest things in the recesses of your mind and your heart, to bring that out and say, I'm going to work on this finally. I'm going to bring it out. I'm going to face it. And, you know, it's interesting because some shamanic work, you have to face, like, going into dark, dark places and facing like a totem of a bear or whatever. And I've had many, many bears show up in my dreams. And I'm like, oh my God. At first, it's so terrifying.
Monsters are there, and it's all out. Yes.
Yeah. And I remember even as a child having bears stalking me. And of course, the polar bear was always the most frightening, because it would come at me standing. And finally, one of the more recent dreams, the polar bear, I was on my hands and knees and I looked up and the polar bear came right to my nose and touched my nose. And I just looked at him and I said, yeah, I was frozen in the dream or the astral, whatever it was. And I remember when I allowed him to touch me, and I thought, he's either going to take my head off or whatever, or it's going to be okay. I don't know. But I said, I've got to just release this fear.
Yeah, it became your ally. if we are facing it, they become our strength, right? You see, this is what I absolutely love about you, because you could vent about it, you could be angry, you could be just traumatized like many other people who are 40, 50, 60, 70 years old and they die. I know people with whom some of them I worked with, some of them are friends of my friends, and on their bed when they were dying, they still they were not able to forgive, to come to terms with their life, and they blame other people that the family was wrong. Sure, it all happened to many of us. A lot of things happened, but who we are, how we respond to that, what we learn from that today, this is your amazing strength. That's how I'm viewing it.
Yeah, well, I think again, my strength has always been connected to spirituality, the believing in more. And I know that when I was young, I would go outside and talk to the stars. And I recall my father coming out and saying, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I'm talking to the stars." Like I don't know if I said star people, but I know I said talking to the stars. And he said, "But there's no one up there." And I, my father walked on water. My father was the love of my life. He was the only one in my family that did not abuse me. There's a long story with how he was betrayed by my mother. But when he told me that, I didn't believe him. And I believed everything my father told me except for that. So that's very interesting to me, that as I listened to him in my heart, I said, but I know that's not true. I mean, children come freshly incarnated from divinity, so, and I don't know where everyone comes from, but I've never felt that I was indigenous to this planet. I felt that I came from somewhere else, and that I always had star beings around me, that I was protected, that I was not alone. And many times I'd say, why aren't you showing yourself to me? I'd say, why are you leaving me here? I'm going to be killed here. Because my mother was threatening to kill me all the time.
Oh.
And I was terrified of my mother, terrified, absolutely, absolutely terrified. I grind my teeth. I was an insomniac. I was afraid to eat her food. I was afraid of my brothers and sisters. And I got a hair in my eye. And life was very, very horrific, because also our house was haunted. So I would hear the activity in the house, whether it was light switches going on and off, or footsteps going up and down the stairs, or down the hallway back and forth, or slamming cupboards. It was horrifying. I think that kind of stuff even scared me up until I was the age of about 40. And then I finally had the worst astral attack of my life when I was about, I'm going to say 45-ish, where I was sleeping and I felt a big being over my bed, but I couldn't open my eyes. I was paralyzed. And I could hear my cat growling, my beloved cat, growling and growling and growling. But no matter how much she growled, I couldn't wake up. But she was connecting me to my earthly body from me being able to hear her. And I remember with all my might, I could try to open my eyes, but I could feel my breath coming out of my mouth. This thing was sucking my soul out of my mouth.
Yeah.
My life force. And it had its mouth right up to mine. And finally, yeah. And then my cat finally jumped on my chest, which was the most loving cat I've ever had. And she stuck her nails in me to wake me up. And I opened my eyes, and then I saw the being over my head. And it was a gargantuan head. It was a big head. It looked like the head of a giant, like a Nephilim from, like days of old, when they talk about the giants that interbred. That's what it looked like. And he was angry, hated. I felt he hated me. Like he absolutely despised me. There was such an anger in his presence that it was like,
in reality?
Yes, yes. When I opened my eyes, I saw it for a second, and he stopped sucking my life force out, and he disappeared immediately. But while I was paralyzed, I could feel that the only thing that that entity felt I was good for was the energy that I could feed it. That there was no other reason for my existence other than for my life force to go in him to digest him, the way people eat meat here, the way someone will never look at a cow as a living being. They just want its meat and they eat it with no thought at all about how much it suffered. Well, that's how this thing was looking at me. There was no difference. There was no love, no compassion, could have cared less how I was suffering. And I know that if my cat wouldn't have died on me, I would have died. It would have looked like I died of a heart attack or my heart just failed me. But that thing was sucking my air out. And as soon as that happened, I thought I was going to be terrified, but I wasn't. I got up. I blessed my home. I burned sage. I sat there for a while. I couldn't find my cat, the cat that is always with me. And I found her under the bed, terrified, terrified. And when I picked her up, she was still shaking, which was not I'd had her since she was 6 weeks old. She was the most, like, if you usually picked her up, she was real loose. And I actually have a video singing where I'm holding her. It's called Train of Vain or whatever. It's an Annie Lennox song. And I'm holding her. Her name was Lola. Do you know she died right after that of liver failure?
Oh,
I feel it was completely connected to that. I feel she sacrificed her life to save mine.
for you. That's amazing, because what you are talking about, there are different types of those things. We are talking a lot on this channel about night paralysis.
Yeah.
And people are completely blocked with movement, and the attacks are coming from different people who are practicing black magic, or they coming from entities that are not humanoids currently. They are not living in the body. And it is claimed that they are those kind of beings, like you said, they are actually eating life force.
Yes, yes.
Well,
And see,
stories
well, and I made the mistake of, there was a gal that lived nearby who gave massages, and she was calling herself a white witch, you know, that she worked with white magic. And I, you know, me being completely open, like a puppy, affirmation again.
Affirmation, I could yes, confirmation from the universe.
People saying that they're doing white magic, but it's actually inverted. It's black magic. And this gal came to my house, and she did all this kind of ritual stuff that looked very Egyptian-y, like very strange. I didn't understand what she was saying. I didn't understand anything.
Anything?
Oh yeah. Yes, I do, but I don't want to even say the words. I don't want to invoke any of it because there's so much power in words. But all I will say is I believe she was from the Golden Dawn and from Crowley. And I believe that what she was, I believe she was very
Soul
powerful.
collector?
But very dark.
Soul collector?
I have no idea.
Okay, so
I will
tell you this because we had that with some of the people. Of course, some of the stories we don't talk so openly. People calling me and telling me this, and of course anonymously. But there was a lady that we were warning everybody else, not straightforward, not by name. She was taking a lot of money for sort of clearing by the phone, and then some of the people discovered or claimed or felt like it, like everybody who she's helping, they are collecting the life force, like imprisoning the soul, the energy of the soul for her task, whatever she wants. So this kind of things, what you're talking about, are extremely dangerous. And every time someone asks me, can you recommend me someone? Do you know this person? I have no idea, but I always say, be very careful. And if you have a slight feeling of fear or doubt, don't go to that person, because there's so many. They work with energy, and if you don't have practice, if you don't know what they are doing, they can do anything to you. and then you feel some sort of a trap, and then there's more problems actually than solutions after that.
Boy, you're hitting a big topic. So let's kind of go deep into this one, because I think that right now people are searching. And of course, tarot cards are always like intriguing, in readings and hypnotism. And this girl, when she came in my house to so-called do a blessing,
Yeah,
I really believe she went in my bathroom, took some of my hair, something with my DNA. When the energy in my house changed completely after that. My cats used to look at the wall and there would be like a portal. And I knew it was a portal. Something was coming in and out, because my cats would like try to touch it. And that was the room where, in my bedroom, where that attack happened. So I think she opened a portal in there, because when she was done doing this specific clearing, blessing, whatever she called it, a big black raven, and I swear this is the complete truth. My front door, the door was open, the screen door was shut. But also when she was done, I walked to the front door and this big raven was right in front of my door and went, wah, 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 and then flew off. And all I could think of was Lord of the Rings, when those ravens were the informants, you know?
yeah, warnings. Warnings.
I think that raven was connected to the dark, that the dark entity came in the form of a raven.
Oh,
You know, and I love all animals, but this raven was somehow connected to this entity. There's no doubt in my mind, or the entities that were now the portal that was open. And that portal, I never shut it. I didn't know how to shut it. I blessed my house over and over and over, but there was no doubt. I mean, I had people spend the night, and one girlfriend came and she's in the back bedroom, and I hear her scream like right before dawn. And I hear her scream, and I run to her bedroom. And I said, what happened? What happened? She goes, there was an old lady right by my bed, like physically an old lady right by my bed. And, you know, she was terrified after that. I mean, she was so afraid to sleep in the room and everything. And, you know, I don't even think she spent another night, you know, but there was definitely something that had been opened in that house. And I'll go to another person that I met recently. I was talking to this gal, and she was like laughing, saying that she is like she works with the dead, like, and she was saying she communes with the dead, and she goes to the graveyards, and she does little ritual work, and she'll go to people's houses. And I said, well, what exactly do you do? Well, yeah. And I said, what do you do? I mean, because her vibe was so like not spiritual. I mean, spiritual in a sense of based in love. It just felt like a very careless attitude towards it, like almost more coming from ego. And she says, oh, well, you know, recently, like I just went to this lady's house and I took my Ouija board and we did a Ouija ceremony. And then all this stuff started happening in the house. And she said that they were so scared that they had to like stop it. And then they had a glass of wine afterward and started laughing about it having wine. And I'm thinking, oh my God, you just left not only the portal open, but then your auric field open. Because when you're drunk or on drugs,
and you didn't close it. Yeah.
People don't realize addictions leave your auric fields open. So you have all your chakras. So now if you're thinking dirty thoughts, you have something open, darkness where something can come in. Or if you have something in your heart like you hate or something can get in there. Or, you know, if it's a sexual perversion, somebody can get in your lower chakras. And, you know, these entities will try to find that little crack, like a little crack in a teapot, you know, and say, I'm going to get in there. And it's once it's got its footing, I don't care if you think you can go get an exorcism and have a priest take it out of you. If you don't do the work, that thing that a priest has just taken out, that thing is going to go grab some of his friends and come back and have a real party in your field.
You try for different people that you love, that's someone that is dear to you, and so on. Yes.
Well, yeah, you have to do the work. If you don't do the work to keep your vessel, your temple clean, you're never going to be strong enough to keep it out. Like you can't go to church and say, okay, well, I confess my sins, so I'm clean, and then go and have sex with your secretary and think it's okay because next week I'm going to just...
You're going to go to the church.
and confess it again, and I'm clean. It's like, no, you have got to keep your thoughts impeccable, your heart impeccable, your words impeccable, your actions impeccable. This is your temple. God resides here. God resides in your mind, your heart, your spirit, your body, your cells. And until we are harmoniously, like living in a heavenly temple, will the heavenly temple expand into the planet, because then we will see every animal as a heavenly temple, every plant, every bird, every other person as a heavenly temple. And of course, from there, heaven on earth would happen. But I think while people are dividing themselves with wars and saying, well, they're evil, we're good, their beliefs are effed up, our beliefs are right, you know, as long as there's that separation, we will never find peace on earth. There has to be a respect for people's feelings, emotions, but people cannot hurt other people. That has to be a golden rule. Do unto others, you know,
Exactly.
as you do to yourself. I mean, so, I mean, I know the Bible has been, so many things have been deleted out of it and edited out of it. And one of the things that most people don't even know is that Jesus was an Essene, and the Essenes lived giving everything. Nobody needed anything. There was no money. Everyone gave to each other. There was an equality. And of course, the Sadducees and Pharisees never wanted the Essenes to be, you know, spreading their word, because that they would lose control, because there was a big ego thing, you know. And look at the Middle East is still riddled with the separation of, like, we're right, you're wrong, we're right, you know. And the Jews,
there's a lot of hate, and in the groups that I'm talking with, or I'm seeing it online sometimes, instead of, you know, this is also social influence that people who know how to do it, and it's just a psychology to influence people, and those who are not conscious, not educated, they will fall for that. They absolutely will hate, because they are told in the TV by other people, hate those people, without even thinking, can I make a friend? Can I talk to this person first before I have an opinion? If anybody has an opinion before you talk to this certain group, this is not your opinion. This is programmed by other people, and we should know that, right?
bingo. It's programmed.
Yeah.
Well, isn't it interesting that we have 12 strands of DNA, but we're functioning on 2? I mean, something manipulated us long ago to be lobotomized spiritually, and to think that we're functioning on such little cognitive ability. I mean,
it's not our fault in a way, right? Since you mentioned that, I had a vision about it, and it's actually in my books, that I saw like it was an order from other entities to block it, because then we would be like those gods who created us. Those beings. So we could not, because we could levitate probably like them. They were levitating, and anytime I go into those, you know, visions, or other people telling me about their hypnotic seance regression, in those times, many of us had powers. Many of us abused those powers. So there's a consequence of it too, the suffering. But powers in that time, they were really profound. There was an, you know, enormous magic that we were able to use. And of course, we could choose how we want to use it.
Yeah.
So some of it, who knows how to do it today, they access it, they do certain rituals, they harm other people. I believe there is a number of people who are doing white magic, or, you know, positive thinking, positive way of influencing other people, because we can also do that. But all in all, if, as long as you mentioned, we are separated, we won't understand that we're not supposed to fight against each other, but together against something that is continuously dragging our attention to against each other, instead of that core. It's always like, if we see that in the media, like, oh, it's them, it's never them. It's always something else that is never visible behind, right?
Yeah. It's very interesting when you're saying that, because all I could think of was one of my most recent lessons that I've had is the judgment thing. That when you repeat patterns again, like again and again and again, of people that come into your life and somehow they steal from you or cheat on you or lie to you, or there's some form of abuse where, again, you feel like, what have I done to deserve like this form of abuse? Like, I don't understand. I'm a good person. I'm honest. I'm giving. I'm, blah, blah, blah. And then I thought, oh my God, a Greg Braden video showed up where he was talking about what you judge is the mirror, and the very thing you're judging comes back. And I'm like, oh my God, that's what it is. Because I can't stand cheaters. I can't stand cheapskates. I can't stand liars.
So you're like,
oh my God, that's all I got. That's all I got. It was like a plethora of like cheaters, cheapskates, liars, you name it. And I thought to myself, but I'm not that. I'm not any of that. Why am I attracting it? It was because I judge it very heavily. I judge it. So
thank you.
Is it the truth?
Thank you for reminding that to all of us. I had to understand so much, because I was also coming from the family, very judgmental, very society, Polish society, very judgmental, very perfection. It was like, you have to be perfect. But everything what we are actually judging about our other cultures, how other people living. When I also do tarot, but I had a client that I had to drop my judgment about that man, because in my tarot, he was in love with someone, but the problem was he was unable to be faithful. And normally I would judge that, but when I read that tarot, I understood what his soul is trying to do, what is his attempt, why he's doing that. He was running on an unconscious program, because he only knew that program, how to feed his soul in a way. So he wasn't conscious about it. But the moment we judge that, we're going to start drawing that to our life. If we just let them be like, hey, this is your task for life. This is what you're doing. Are you aware of that? You can change that if you want to, but, take your time. I'm not a judge of that. I'm just, right? It's a completely different approach.
I agree. Yeah. And the interesting thing too is that when you start looking at everyone coming to this earth with lessons to learn, that when you step in and try to judge it, you are actually putting a block in the continuation of their lesson, And it's like, for instance, if you're a parent and now your child, you got them a car for their 16th birthday, and they stop making payments on it. So now the car is getting repossessed, but the parent steps in and says, well, let me pay for all that you missed. What has the child learned? If they come in and take the lesson away, the child just says, oh, well, wow, I'm going to get rescued every time I,
do something bad. Life is good.
Every time I'm careless and irresponsible, what doesn't matter? And I have to say that when my first marriage, I was at fault because I was coddling all the shortcomings of my first husband. It was, he was lazy, he was filthy, he wouldn't take showers, he was a liar, he'd hide money, he cheated on me from the very beginning. Everybody knew it except for me. And I've, it was like, in the end, of course, I was so angry that I could say I bordered on hating him, which I don't think I've ever hated anything. I mean, I hate actions, like if someone's hurting an animal, I hate the action of hurting a child or an animal, but the person itself, I can forgive that, the person, but the actions is what I have a hard time forgiving, is what they've done. So of course I carried a lot of anger about being cheated on for 9 years, and giving up my career and focusing on his, and then going getting a normal job so he could pursue acting. And meanwhile, my career is just going down the toilet, which in hindsight is a huge blessing, because we know Hollywood. We could talk about Hollywood.
Something about that, yes, please. Can you say something about
that?
Young people still pursuing that fame, aspect of that being charmed, and we all were teenagers. We all wanted a little bit more, you know, shiny lifestyle that is presented in media, be that, you know, look like a model, right? I have those millions, you know, whatever, however.
Yeah, it's true. And I can say that because of the insults that were slung at me, I always thought, okay, I'm going to get back. I'm going to be famous one day. And then they'll eat, you know, they'll eat it, you know?
Yeah.
So I had, and it's amazing because when you're young, you visualize. And I mean, I'd look in the mirror and I just visualize myself as a beautiful model on a cover or this or that, and it sure enough started manifesting awful fast for me. As soon as I got away from my home, it started manifesting. But the interesting thing was, you want it so bad that you start lowering your standard. So, and of course, the minions, the jinn, the demons, the lower grade entities, whatever you want to call them, they're swarming over that city. And just like swarming over places like Las Vegas or, you know, anywhere where there's going to be a lot of access to addictions, whether it's sex, food, alcohol, gambling, you name it. And I think that, of course, Hollywood is just it's like walking into a buffet for your ego to just overindulge. And then what happens is you get in there, and then your sense of reality, because you're so pulled away from nature, the way indigenous people live. Indigenous people don't have mirrors. They're not sitting there worrying about whether they're born a male or a female. They're just going with the flow of what they are. They're so their acceptance of what they are in the realm of existing, which is to eat, to survive, to have food, to hunt, to plant, to harvest, to make baskets, to put up huts. Their thoughts are not, I'm going to cut my dick off, you know. You know, it's like they just go with the natural flow of what they're feeling. And I think that that's why there's so much sickness, you know. And Hollywood has bred that. Hollywood has been one of the pivotal tools and weapons of putting a cancer in the minds and hearts and spirits of young people, old people, doesn't matter. I mean, because all you have to do is watch those audition shows and you can just see the lust in their eyes to want to be famous. Yeah. And see, you know, when I was going for it, I wanted it, but I after a while, I said, I don't want it that bad. I don't want it that bad to sleep for parts or to lower my standard or to go to these weird parties where everybody's having sex. No, thanks. You know, I never, thank God I never touched drugs. I never got involved with the cocaine or the ecstasy stuff and all of that stuff. I was, for me, I guess it's because my love of horses and animals and nature that always brought me back down to center. And when I left Hollywood, it's because I'd already I was getting nothing but parts where it was, you know, having sex in some scene or being killed or killing. And I said, this isn't what I got into acting for.
What a affirmation, right, for life. Yes.
Yeah. And there's an interview that Mel Gibson had where he was saying that it was some of the execs or something that said, oh, women, they don't belong in movies. The only thing they're good for is sex and being killed. You know, that's it. They should be dead or screwed. That's it. So again, it's an abomination of the goddess energy, of the female, of the yin. And again, Hollywood's real good at turning women into just nothing but looking overly sexual.
Well, objects.
Yeah, and either they're either too skinny, emaciated, or they're like all womped up like big breasts. And I had breast implants and I got them taken out when I was 50, and it was the best feeling in the world when I woke up and I knew they were out of my body. I know that was also some kind of energetic thing that was hijacking my body as well. And I mean, you can look some of my videos, like I have one called I Love You Baby, where it's my first CBS record or song that went to #1, and it's in Spanish, but you can see my face looks very different. I had very thin lips. My face was fuller naturally, but I so screwed with my face that people look at me now and they say, that's not you. And I look at it and I says, I know it doesn't look like me. And I miss my organic, beautiful face. Like you have a beautiful, natural face. I miss my natural face because, you know, I had Botox, I had fillers, and I have like
Thank
I'll
you,
show
but
you
you're
right here.
very beautiful.
Well, but like here I had fillers, and you can see when you're young, the fillers will stay up high. But as your skin and the tissues drop, the fillers drop. So now I have like this jowly thing, and my lips got deformed. So that's the karma that I have reaped through my vanity. And the thing is that you know,
You say that
61.
once you start to do that, you have to keep doing it forever to the end of your
Yeah,
life.
it never stops. Then it's plastic surgery, then it's laser, then it's this, that. And I said, you know what? I want to pretend as if I was an indigenous person, never seen a mirror before. And the most important thing is that I feel healthy, you know?
Yeah.
And going into that, which I don't know if you want to talk about Hollywood too much, but you asked me a little bit about some of the people I've
Yes,
met.
some of it, yes, because we do touch on this topics,
Yeah.
and also on the Polish side, many people had those experiences. What is the most important for me is that we are coming together. We created those groups when people can, you know, save the cash, do the service, but also warn people how it starts, because everybody say, okay, that's not going to happen to me. So if there is anybody hearing this very young who is considering the career, people still want to do it, but they want to do it on their own terms. And because of the internet, now it's possible. Now we can do that in a different way. But when you were going there, it was probably innocent at the beginning. It was something that you maybe saw it, but many young women, they don't see that. They just going with the flow. And something I observed also in Barcelona, in Spain, the difference of the culture. I had a feeling at the moment like everybody's sleeping with everybody, and that's normal. And like I don't belong, because this is like, you know, I love to dance. I dance, but that's it. Uh, with the dance, it ends. But for the people, for some of the people, it's just, you know, sex is just a continuity. It's something else. For me, it's a sacred part, you know. But for many people, it's completely something else. So I'm trying also not to judge that, but understand, because everybody has maybe a different borders. Where is that border for everybody? Because it's so easy to get hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. When you were saying that, the first thing that came to mind was be in the world, not of it. So the world is right now at the moment very obsessed with sex, like I've never seen. But again, they said in the Bible, like when Rome is reborn, and you see all the same sins that took Rome over, which was bloodlust, sex, orgies, gluttony, uh, uh, materialism. I mean, it was so corrupt. I mean, can you imagine coliseums where people are going to watch people get torn apart by lions? Like where your mind has to be to
To be
say
that, yes. That this
that's
is
entertainment.
Yeah.
That's and they used to go to hangings in the 1900s. Like it didn't matter who was getting hung. They'd take a bucket, you know, their chicken wrapped up in you know, material, and they'd untie it, and everybody's having chicken as somebody's getting hung. I mean, it was entertainment. They were fascinated to watch anything that they would display, like a burning, like the burning of witches.
Yeah.
They would go, and again, oh my God, but it's happening on the internet, because I won't watch anything dark on the internet. I won't watch it. I won't watch anything where someone's being hurt, tortured, whether it's an animal, child, person. I don't care if it's military and they're justifying it. It's wrong. Killing is wrong. Thou shalt not kill. It doesn't say thou shalt not kill animals or humans, or it says kill, period. You know, people always say, oh, well, you know, animals were given to us for us to use, you know. No, we're supposed to be their custodians. We're supposed to watch over them. And nothing in nature is supposed to be sold for profit. It's not supposed to be an industrialized thing. You know, it's a shame. It's We have lost our way. Humans have lost their way. And the thing is, the young generations where the parents went to work and they let their kids at home with the Game Boys and the computer, now it's like giving a child an atom bomb. You know, they don't have the maturity for that much information. They don't know how to process it. So of course, you know, now, you know, we've got pornography being shoved down their throats in the public schools. You know, I don't know if you're supposed to use that word, but you know,
Yeah,
I,
I think that's one okay,
bleep,
but you have to
bleep, bleep.
bleep it. Have to
Yeah, I think now, like, yeah,
that
you
it's
know,
a
and it's
slight.
what happened to freedom of speech, right? What happened to freedom of speech?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that is on the YouTube. So of course we have to pay a little bit of the attention, because we have now another kind of police, which is algorithm and artificial intelligence. And it picks up certain things, but does not understand it fully as well. So you technically you have a free speech, but in reality, it can all go wrong just because of that. But just coming back to the Hollywood, because young people, anytime they see someone on the screen, someone sees someone rich and famous, it's done. So it evokes within you a desire to be that. So to have the idol, follow that, become that great someone who's on the screen. And this is happening not only with actress, with actors, with authors, with people that other people are just admire because they are temporarily or for a longer period of time on pedestal. And how it was for you when you met those people who are famous. What is your experience that everybody admire? Because even now, when someone is telling me that, okay, there is this famous person in Poland, great coach, I went to him, to her, and I was so freaking disappointed. It is such a not nice person.
Yeah, I was pretty shocked when I was promoting my album, they were shooting Total Recall with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I saw him in the elevator. And right when he saw me, he stepped right in front of me, and I had a necklace on, and he ran his finger down my throat to the necklace, and he said, "I like your necklace." And all I could smell was tequila. And then he said, "Would you like to take a jacuzzi with me? We can work out and take a jacuzzi." And I looked at him and I said, God, I had such a crush on him when I saw him in Conan the Barbarian. I mean,
Wow.
that was like the first movie I saw him in. I was in love with him. I thought he was the most beautiful man. He looked like an atlas or something. And then when I saw him just slump, you know, he was friendly and a happy drunk, but it just, the whole image of this incredible man just crumbled right in front of my eyes. And it happened many times. I went to a Thanksgiving dinner with a friend, and Sharon Stone was there, and she came in with a bodyguard, and she was very in a bubble. Like, she really felt uncomfortable talking, and you could tell she didn't really want to be there. She just made the appearance to be polite. I don't even think she was there 15 minutes and didn't eat or anything, and then just got up and left like she made her appearance. And I remember just the awkwardness.
Did you think she was forced to do that?
I don't think she was forced. I think it was friends. And it was just something where they invited her. And I think it was the polite thing to do, is to show up. And she did with a.
Sorry.
What?
That sounds like an obligation.
It was an obligation. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. But I mean, she anyway. And then I was, I mean, I could go on and on and on. I had Jack Nicholson calling my house because he saw me in a movie. And of course, he had his secretary called me. And then the secretary actually called my manager, and my manager called me and said, "You need to call this number. Jack Nicholson's trying to get a hold of you." And I thought, of course, he's going to audition me for a movie. I mean, you know, why would I think anything else? And as soon as I call, his secretary patches me through to him, and he gets on, and he's just like Jack, you know, real laid back, and just kept asking me out. He says, "Sorry to say, this isn't a business related phone call. It's, I like you. I've seen you in a movie. I'm really attracted to you. I'd like to see you." And I said, "I'm married." He goes, "Well, I don't care." You know, he says, "Well, where are you? And I said, North Hollywood. And he goes, well, I play golf right down the street. I can pick you up or meet you there. And I kept saying, no, I don't do that, you know? And he kept me on the phone, I don't know, 45 minutes. And I think he had just shot the movie Wolf with Michelle Pfeiffer. And he talked a little bit about that, but it was all sex, you know? And I was going, it didn't matter at that time. I was born again Christian and really devoted, going to church all the time and Bible studies. And I was very like, no, don't fool around. And and that was kind of really sad because obviously he knows I was an actress and stuff. And, you know, but there was no concern for that. It was like, just, I want to get what I want to get because you're pretty. And
yeah, you would expect something a little bit better because, you know, if someone has such a high status in the society, people consider, you know, that's a responsibility. So people consider, because of course, when I was in Barcelona, when I was with someone, another guy just approached me and say that, hey, are you with him? Because if not, you know, come with me, right? No problem. There is absolutely no problem in front of that other person I was with. And it happened to me a few times. And this is like something regular, but okay, I can say these are regular people. They don't have responsibility. They maybe don't have much in life. They try to grab whatever whatever is out there just to make themselves feel better, because that's for me like a misery, right? It's like you have to be really in a misery. But people who have status, money, they have, I don't know, a lot of sex. Let's say they had a lot of sex. They are never satisfied and they cannot do better, you know? They are representing something.
Yeah, and I think that it's an addiction, but what people don't understand is when you have any kind of sexual contact, you are connecting astral cords. So from chakra to chakra, now there's a cord connected there. And that's why sometimes when you break up, you can't get over someone and you just feel like almost obsessed. Like, why can't I get over this? This is bizarre. I mean, it's almost as though they hijacked my heart. And that's happened to me where I was very strong, very independent. Then I get involved with a certain type of narcissistic type personality, which that's running rampant, the narcissist right now, which again, it's easy to judge it, but it's just, I've realized now that a certain energy, a certain frequency, I have to cut it loose. That yes, it's on its own spiritual journey. It will grow. It will do whatever it's going to do, but I want nothing to do with it because, you know, we want to save the world, but that's not the way to do it by putting a hole in your own boat. You have to keep yourself intact and be strong. But I was going to say one more thing about Hollywood is that anyone that's got these dreams and illusions of the same thing, the aspirations of saying, well, that's going to be it. When I hit that, that's the peak of the peak of the peak. Well, all I can tell you is that when you're there, it's no different than if you were having a job in a restaurant, waiting tables, or a cook or a maid, because it's this strange like hype. But then when you get there, you realize, well, this is like a school play, but they're making it way more important, and it's not more important. The more important things are the people that grow your food, the doctors that are doing brain surgery, the people that are the farmers growing the seeds, people that are building homes and laying down, you know, cement and pipes and, you know, whatever it is, the work that is, that's the work that should be honored. And the thing is that it is probably the most, I mean, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with entertainment. Entertainment is a lovely thing, but I find entertainment in listening to birds sing and watching dogs play or watching horses run in a field or just grazing in a field. That's plenty entertaining for me. I don't need the overstimulus anymore. But when I was in hot pursuit of wanting to be famous, when I got there, I really realized having conversations on movie sets with people that they were not interesting at all. Normally, the more famous they were, the more hollow the conversation. It's almost as though they're thinking like, okay, what does this person want from me? Are they going to, you know, become a stalker? Or what, you know, what's going on here? Like they get so freaked out because they see themselves as the illusion of the idol. And first off, there's a reason why in the Bible, it says no idolatry. You're not supposed to idolize anything, because you're stripping your own strength away from yourself when you idolize anything. It doesn't matter what it is. You idolize money, you're giving your power to money.
Money,
It's
yeah.
controlling you, you know? And again, finding enlightenment and to rise above it all into like a heavenly sphere of existence. It's seeing the God in gene and everything, the love in everything, and that what is illusionary, like what is controlling, what is keeping you from love, you know? And the thing is, money is neutral. But the problem is, boy, you flash money in front of somebody, it's like they become like a computer chip. They're just like zoned out, as though all they can see now is that money, where some people will kill for it. Many people will obviously, but, you know,
people kill for it.
yeah, well, you know, and it's funny because, you know, people lash out so much at people that make money as a profession, having sex. I won't say the word because that's probably another red flag, but so many people do it for money, whether it's for a promotion or because it's the rock star, or because it's a famous guy. I mean, how many old actors you see right now married to 25-year-olds? And I think to myself, okay, if they didn't have any money, I highly doubt that they'd have anything in common. I'm not saying that love can't have an age difference.
Yes.
But, come on, you know.
Actually, you know, a long time ago when I was in New York, I think I was 21 that time. And also I put that incident in my book because I find it so meaningful. I had no money, and a lot of people are forced to make money. And if you go to those in New York, like jobs like cleaners, restaurant, they are poorly paid. They are underappreciated. And someone say, okay, there's audition, so go for audition. And I had no idea. I made a mistake with tap dance and lap dance. I had no idea what is lap dance. So I went to this nightclub, and it's so funny, right? People were laughing at me. But I went to this nightclub, and there was such a beautiful girl, like an angel. And I say, hey, can you show me this dance? I'm learning fast, you know, just show me, no problem. And she started to have a dry sex on me. And I'm waiting, politely waiting, because, you know, I'm very kind. I was very kind. I'm politely waiting and say, okay, so when is the dance starting?
Oh my God, that is so funny.
I realized that. Of course, I was seeing, like, of course, they are poorly dressed at the same time. And there is this. And then I realized, and I asked her the question, why you do that? And she told me she wants to be a lawyer, and she would never make that money being a waitress, being a cleaner. She has now good clothes. She can pay her education, and she works only on weekends. Can you imagine that? Yeah. And she was so much inviting me, right? Now imagine a girls who are influential. They say, hey, we all do this. This is normal. Come, join us. She was lovely. She looked like an angel. They were very friendly. Because of course, in this kind of, you know, environment, you can sense that some people can be pretty bitchy. There is the competition and so on. No, nothing like that. If I would be able probably that time to do that, I would probably have a, you know, job right there. So, you know what was the casting actually? Do this on the manager of the club.
Yeah. So the audition was to dance.
The audition is very simple. And this is very common in all the Hollywood, every city, every, you know, bigger city, probably all over the world, not only bigger city, because, there's just an entertainment. But I think, what would you say to those people who have no money? They are in a very poor financial, they're not doing it for money because they want more, because they are greedy. They just want to live.
Yeah.
They have dreams.
Yeah, I've been there.
Say to them?
Well, I've been there where you lower your standard and you just say, I got to make money. I'm tired of not being able to go to a restaurant. I'm tired of ordering the cheapest thing on the menu. And yeah, I've been there. And certainly jobs like stripping and dancing and mud wrestling, which, you know, I've done other interviews where I talk about that, where, you know, I did do it for a while. And that's no different than falling into the trappings of, you know, someone who sells drugs or someone who starts stealing or anything. It's the same vibration, which even though you can say, well, I'm not stealing, I'm earning money honestly, but there's a deficit that's happening like in your auric field again. Because I know for me, my life took such drastic turns in the wrong direction when I put myself in that like cesspool of that energy. You know, I mean, if, for instance, if you're dealing cards in Las Vegas, you know, you're not gambling, but you're in the cesspool of it. And maybe you're holding light, but you're there because you're making the best money you've ever made. But there is a price for it because it's energy exchange. It's energy. Money is energy. So again, it's like we have to start thinking on the terms of energy. And for anyone that's really hurting, I mean, just look at the countries where they're sending their children into prostitution because they're hurting so badly. So I mean, you can't judge it, because if that's the only alternative they have left, and they say there is no other alternative, it's hard to say, well, my spirituality is going to get me over the hump. It's a very, very hard thing. I mean, it's you know, to manifest and to sit in a space of saying, I'm going to manifest the life I want. I'm going to do this. But meanwhile, there's no food in the kitchen and your kids are crying and they're hungry. And, you know, your kids have, you know, dental needs or whatever. And it's very hard to sit here and say, you know, oh, well, you know, just don't do it. It's very, very hard to say it. I would say that look at all your options. I mean, all your options, and try to pick the healthiest one all the way around. That's not going to put you in danger. That's not going to jeopardize your health. That's not going to jeopardize your mind, body, and spirit, or, you know, because the longer you do things like that, you start getting numb.
Something goes on with your soul. I'm going to give you another example because we can discuss it too. I was called as a tarot reader to one center when they say they have a massage, right? Of course, it was erotic massage. It was similar to lap dance, just without the music, and looked differently. And the owner of this, I read her cards, but of course I met those girls there. They were from Thailand, from, you know, different places. It was already in Germany where I am. And I saw them, all of them, because it looked really innocent. It's like good money, and say, wow, maybe I should do it. You know, it's a good money. And then I read cards, and there was something similar in all of them. And I told them that, look, there's nothing wrong, because they were scared I'm going to judge them. I say, no, I do understand you are in a certain position here, but every one of them had something that I could sense. They do not enjoy sex anymore. They cannot have sex anymore. So the price for them was be very angry about men generally in life, and they lost that side of themselves. That was the price. Amazing.
There's a price for everything. Yeah. And the thing is that the souls that come here holding a lot of light, I don't care if it's a male or a female, because there is something with the sexual energy when it's innocent that is so precious, and that is what gets attacked, is that energy of that beautiful, precious, the Kundalini energy. I mean, it is the manifestation of sex is life. But the thing is that it doesn't surprise me that there's an industry for sex, because I think that it's a spiritual thing where people don't know when they're paying for sex, but they're really paying for that void in their spirit, like fill me. And then the young sexual person that's doing it for money, they're getting money, but they're giving something that is priceless, which is their sexuality, their sensuality, their body. They're opening their auric field, and these astral cords are coming in. And then not only that, but you've got the semen and the fluids and the skin I mean, and the sweat and then the breath. I mean, there's so much going on in exchange for something that is an illusion, which is money. I mean, it's a neutral thing. So it's a very dangerous thing. And I think all of us souls that came here with a very powerful Kundalini energy, you know, I feel that we're the ones that have been on the hot plate the most in the realm of the sex industry.
That's the best thought.
It's true. It's
Best
true.
thought.
I've thought about it a lot, because when I was young, I had no interest of having sex with more than one person. I wanted to be married once for life. I wanted a couple kids. I wanted one partner forever and ever and ever. Never wanted any kind of naughty anything. And I attracted just the biggest perverts, you know, that wanted to tie me up, you know, all the role playing and everything. And at first you think, well, this will be fun. You know, why not? Because you're looking at it from an innocent place. So you think, oh, what is it to, you know, do a little bit of tying up and this and that. But then I remember with one specific person, it got so awful and dark. And it was, there was a moment where I just remember tears rolling down my eyes, because it had taken a step too far. And this person was a very angry, he had a lot of misplaced anger. He was a hunter and a fisherman, and he worked up in Idaho. And I wasn't interested in dating him at first, and he pursued me so heavily. And he was the one that that he was obsessed with the sex that is like forbidden. I'm just going to say that the anal. Okay. And I was against that, but that's an energy that is a no-no, because it depletes it. Even that chakra is meant for things to leave, you know, like toxins to leave. So it's a very forbidden zone. And that's like, hence the Sodom and Gomorrah, when that becomes the obsession, it's another thing that attracts a lot of entities, and you lose a lot of your power. Because I remember I was, you know, at first, you know, you agree to it because you think, okay, well, you know, one time's not going to be a big deal, but then it becomes an addiction for that person. And I remember losing myself. I had never ever felt so like out of control in a relationship. It just felt really dark. And I felt that my own energy was just being siphoned out of me so quickly. And as you know, the young ones now, that's just a natural thing to do in the sexual realms, you know. And it's a very, very, very dangerous form of, if you even want to call it, intimacy. I just think it's below even animal.
You know what? It's an interesting thing, because I think it depends on the couple, but someone from here, we have a lot of Turkish people in Mannheim. It's Mannheim is called, like, you know, Little Turkey. And my actually doctor told me that through years, when he was receiving patients and mixed marriages between Turkish guys and German women, other culture women, they were all, something happened with their mind and thinking. They were very dependent, like lost themselves to these people. So perfectly independent German woman, after a year of being with that guy, started to, you know, be very submissive. And he was doing his research, like, what is going on? And he discovered sex. He discovered that this is happening. So what these guys were doing, what was similar, they were hitting on the back their women during the sexual, you know, intercourse. And it was a specific position, but position is not a dangerous thing, but the way and the intention. And in Arabic, they did some form of a ritual.
Yeah.
That's what was going on. And if these women were not conscious of it, they were unable to protect themselves. So they started to have thoughts that they were not their thoughts.
Yeah. Do you know that even in some of the religions, it's forbidden to sleep on your stomach, because it leaves like temptation for the entities to astrally rape you?
Interesting. I didn't hear that
Yeah,
one.
no,
Yeah.
it's a very, yeah, it's a very, see, there's so much we're not taught and there's so much we don't know, but sex is a very big key to keeping your purity and your ascension energy. It's the wrong kind of groundedness that's 3D, that is so dense. It's the heaviest energy besides killing that there is. I mean, if anything is going to keep humanity down low, like the heaviest metal on the planet, it's going to be the sex or the killing. And isn't it funny? They're an inversion of each other, because sex creates life and killing is taking
Yeah.
life. So isn't
Yes.
that funny that the two extremes of the
Connected.
polars are, yeah, it's the both, you to take sex and make it the darkest thing, and killing is you're taking that, and it's just making the whole thing, I mean, complete booby trap. And again, when you look at like the beings that the fallen angels that interbred with the women, you know, which were the days of old, the giants, that it was the procreating that took away their eternal life. It was the having sex with the creation that took away their eternal life. I mean, just think about that. It was the seeding of that, was the way it started, was already on a bad note. So, I mean, it's amazing to me that I'm sorry, it's another little rescue. They just can't get enough. This
Hello?
is Gigi. She's my latest rescue. She's a feral. That's why they clipped her little ear, because she's a little feral kitty. But yeah, so you think about that even the fallen gods were so tempted that they couldn't even control their sexual desires. So just imagine that is the tool that, of course, so many will fall by. Because I mean, if fallen angels that had all the keys and codes and the Akashic record fell, I mean, that's a pretty powerful energy. That tells you right there
Yes.
what we're
Yes.
dealing with.
You know, there is also this tantra sort of, you know, this black magic, sexual magic that of course, if we're not gonna talk about how to do that, of course, here, but during that there is an amount of energy taken from women. But of course, if the woman knows that, she can do it the other way around. So the guy is extremely exhausted after you know the sex, but she is able to take on, and there are a number of women that do that, but usually because of the structure, because how we are structured, male and female, normally women are the one to lose more.
Interesting, because they're the life giver. They're the one that
Yeah.
has to have the seed within them. Yeah, it's a very interesting thing. The whole dynamic, and how even now it's getting so twisted, where, you know, again, when I talk to people, when someone is saying, "Oh, I don't identify as a female," I'm like going, why don't you just go to a third world country and go live where there's no food or water, and just see how long you're going to last wondering about what you identify as. What you're going to identify as is a hungry being that needs to eat and drink and get shelter. You're not going to be worried about whether you have a female organ or a male organ, you know. And I think that there's too much idle time on people's hands to think about creating issues that don't even exist. They're plucking them out of the air. Like, oh, I want to associate as a cat. I want to associate as a kangaroo. I'm a fish, you know. And then it's such.
Well, in shamanism, it was just shape shifting. You can be whoever you want, but
Yeah,
there's
in spirit, yeah, you can have a totem, and you know, definitely. But the thing is what's happening now is a mutilization of the physical form, which is your temple. So it's another perversion of destroying the temple, the holy temple, because the more you screw with it, the more lost you get. You lose your footing. There's so many, I'm sure, that later are going to say, what was I thinking? Like me when I had the breast implants, when I did the stupid lip injections, when I put the fillers in my face. And I'm thinking, you know, when you finally step back from it and the clouds part, and you suddenly say, oh my God, I lost my mind there for a while. I was like Walking Dead for a while. And it's no different. I mean, I remember when I was hardcore born again. I mean, I just was like brainwashed up the wazoo. And I know that's going to offend some people, but when anything is controlling you, especially when it says it's a blood sacrifice, you got to really think that's black magic when it's a blood sacrifice. And the thing is, the Essenes believed in your holy connection with God within you. You enter heaven as a child, but God is also within you, and the temple is within you. And so it's like, of course, the old priests of old, and they never even wanted you to utter the name of God or commune with angels. If you did, they said it was heresy and you were burned to the crisp. So I think that, like, right now, the reason the world is in such chaos is because they've lost their connection of God being within them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and source, and the temple, that this is a holy temple that we've been given, and it belongs, this organic flesh belongs to the planet. It will return to the planet as ashes to ashes, dust to dust. It belongs to the planet. It's on loan. It doesn't belong to us. And that's why a lot of NDEs, like the near-death experiencers, when they are out of their body and they're looking down, they're saying, oh my God, that was just a suit. That was just a suit. So hence why it is that we should look at animals differently, because they're just wearing a suit as well, whether it's a suit of a cow, a suit of a pig, but the spirit is the same. The energy, the orbs of light that leave are no different than our orb of light. The consciousness might be a little different. The wisdom level of evolution or whatever might be slightly different, but it's not unequal to it being the force of life, the spark of God. And that's the thing, is that when we shed this body is when you say, oh my God, everything is consciousness, everything is equal. Wow, you know. And I think that for me, this conversation, if I have one wish for anyone, is just to not look for happiness outside yourself, because it all starts first within yourself. Find your footing within yourself, because then if the world starts falling apart, you still know who you are. Know thyself. Because I mean, like, again, if you're looking for fame, look at Freddie Prinze. He made it on what was it, Chico and the Man. He was the Chicano sweet actor. As soon as he made it, he shot himself. And what he said before he shot himself was, he said, I was expecting so much more. Look at Elvis Presley, look at Marilyn Monroe, look at, you know, all of the plethora of
The price was big.
Yeah, but, well, you're talking about Jesus Christ?
No,
What?
the price for all the actors.
The price. Oh yeah, the price. Yeah,
yeah. Just for a second, let's go back to this gender topic, which is, of course,
Yes.
very touchy and so on. I'm sure that Native Americans, shamanism, Aborigines, they had a way of solving those issues. I don't know how, but I wonder, because maybe there is a lot I don't know here. But I do understand when someone adult is telling you, like, hey, I do not feel like a man or woman, and they feel deeply within themselves that they are someone else. It happens to so many other beings, like they have a body, but they remember their lifetime on another planet. They cannot fit in. I do understand that. Now, what is going on? What is the chaos about? Is that they are young people that you are programming them that, hey, are you sure you're a woman or a man? So you are implementing doubt into very plastic brain that doesn't know yet who he is, and is trying to figure out. And this is where the big problems start. Just like, you know, programming young women that you have to have a plastic surgery. When I was in Los Angeles, we had with a friend of mine, we were in a restaurant, and the waitress was maybe 25, 27 years old. And she said, oh, she needs to do her breasts, her lips, because when she's going to be 30, she's going to be already too old. And I was like, oh my God, let's get out of here.
Yeah.
So we are older than that. And that is amazing that she thinks that these are her thoughts. And this is where we need to start with the education. So I'm really hoping that anyone who's hearing us today, I wish to, you know, have like several conversations and naming it conversations with Erika, because if that brings a slight, idea, and you can send this to anyone who has doubts, who doesn't know what path to take, maybe needs to talk to you, Erika, about it. I don't know. We need those community, that support, that ask the right kind of questions, so you know who you are in your core, so you do not make those mistakes. These are not necessary. Of course, they are profound life lessons, but they don't have to last for 10 years, 20 years. You can get with those lessons a little bit faster, wherever you are. So if you are out there and hearing this, let us know. Write us about it. Maybe to Erika, if you like, I will put your email address or how people can contact you. I believe in those groups. Of course, Erika has not much time. She's taking care of horses and a lot of beautiful beings. But maybe we could create this kind of, community also internationally on, I don't know, maybe WhatsApp, maybe Skype, maybe whatever. That will be my wish for today. Tell me, Erika, for the end of part 1 with us today, what is your wish? What is your wish? What are your needs? Because we all have this thing that we can exchange. We have all service to provide. If we discover within ourselves, we can exchange that service, and we are going to be more and more independent from those who are offering us something that we have no choice.
Yes. Well, I would say that the wish would be, of course, for everyone to see their own value in themselves, that they are perfection incarnate, and that there is no mistakes. And if you were born in a body that you don't associate with, that there is a profound lesson in accepting yourself as is. It takes far more love to love something that is imperfect than it is to love something that is perfect. I always say that love, when everything's just easy peasy, that love is not challenged. If you incarnated, it was not an accident. Before you incarnated, you agreed upon the form you would take, the sex you would take. All of it is divine destiny, and there's divine lessons in there. So to negate it is like saying, no, I didn't come here for that lesson. I made a mistake. I made a mistake. No, there are no mistakes. So I would say there's a really wonderful channel I highly recommend. It's called The Alchemist, and it's a young woman, beautiful, beautiful young woman who it's her channel, and she talks about these things. And she's gay herself, but she talks about how, she, of course, could have gone that route of saying, well, I associate with a man, man's body, but she didn't. She said, I know that I was born as a female for a reason. But of course, I'm a gay woman, and I know that. I'm not going to change my mind about that. And I think that she has some profound, interesting, wonderful truths that I highly recommend her content. I've watched many, many, many of her videos, and I really think she's a sound teacher. The other thing that I have to say is just to beware of giving your power away. So to start taking those training wheels off and trust in yourself, trust your intuition, but also know when outside thoughts are being injected, and to know how to reject them, like especially if it's thoughts of hurting anything, hurting yourself, because that's not why we're here. We're not here to hurt other beings or hurt ourselves. We're here to grow, become closer to God within us, and to take everything we learn and go back as a whole. And everyone is bringing something special to the whole. But my wish is for love to just abound, and love sprout in every single soul and just flourish and spread. And it all starts with us as individuals. And we will reach out to each other and hold hands in this journey that we're in together. And everyone is perfection. Everyone is love. We are all children within. So embrace that child within, no matter what's been done to you. Love that child within. You are the one that can hold that child and heal that child. So embrace and merge the child with the wise sage. And Godspeed. You can do it. We can all do it. Don't lose faith. Please be strong. because we are going into turbulent waters. We are going into the valley of darkness, and you will be walking through it alone, but side by side with all your brothers and sisters. We are in this together. So even though it appears that you're all alone, you're not. But we must do this. We must have faith in ourselves and have that connection to God as strong as ever. This is all a journey of finding the love within you and letting it blossom. We will make it. We will make it. Love prevails. It always will. Love prevails. I send my love to everyone. And Joanna, thank you. God bless you so much for this conversation.
You. This is so amazing. I think it's the most beautiful blessings I ever heard so far. So if anybody hearing this, please pass this. Let us know if you stayed with us to the very end of this video. And something I at the end have to say, so please like, because if you do like, more and more people can actually hear this. If you pass this, if you share it, if you write us a comment. So one more time, for you, for those who are actually first time, I always forget to introduce myself on this channel because I'm so invested in my guests and I would love to hear so many things. But for those of you who are first time here and hearing me for the first time, I'm for years connecting something like psychology, living in between dimensions, with paranormal world that is happening to me from the very, very beginning since I was born here. And I'm doing it through being an author, writing books, painting abstracts. You can see behind me, these are also protective, painted for a different reasons that you want to have in your life. And also I'm a dancer. And I'm helping people by doing session, not only tarot. So this is my work, and I am hoping to connect all over the world people who are just similar minded. They want to do better. And for you today, it was Erika, American actress and now wonderful being that is taking care of so many beings. I'm seeing you as this, person connecting people also all over the world with this light and better. Maybe you create your own community, I don't know. But if people would like to reach you, what is the best way to reach you?
I don't have any platform at the moment. I don't have a web. I don't have a web page. I don't have a public maybe what I could do is open something and then get it to you. But
that would be fantastic, because I see that now, the more we talk, that it would be such a lovely thing to create that support group. I believe there is more people like that, and they can just do it better. They can draw from the wisdom of those who already walked that path and now can just ask the right kind of questions, share the stories. But of course, you are always invited here and you can share it with me. So
thank you.
Please write comments, everyone, what you are wishing. Maybe there you have an idea for Erika as well, and we create another group. So thank you so much, and seeing you next time, hopefully very soon.
Thank you.
Bye everyone.